Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this new podcast may find you.
We're back
We're back.
Yeah.
with an addition.
With the Chenathan.
I'm not back.
Well,
my first time.
This is so, for those that are just now listening for the first time, I'm Gavin.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Chen.
When we have incorporated a Chen.
That's a weird way to put it.
We've licensed you.
Oh, okay. Great.
I know. He's joined us mainly on this last shoot that we just finished as a third shooter so that we can have multiple different angles, as well as just somebody that's very adequate with a camera and cars in general. And
also doing social media stuff for us because we can only do so many things at once. From my understanding, this is somewhat how reels work, but our first reel that you did not blew up, but like is doing really well.
It
still really well.
65,000 views.
Yeah.
And we're still reaching people.
I know. It's crazy. That is the most successful reel that I think I've ever created.
Really?
Which is impressive.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
And that was your first one.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats.
What a way to jump in head first, and now you got to somehow match that.
I know. Great.
I know.
Set the bar for myself too high. Don't do that, everyone.
So we're back in a new studio with proper recording. If you watched our video on the state of the channel, that's the area that we're in.
We are in Justin's basement.
Mm-hmm. We have a table, we have mics, and we have
Lights.
place for up to 4 people. We'll see if that ever happens, but we technically could have the space. We have lights and a setup. We actually have a place.
It's crazy because beforehand it really was like whatever microphones we had laying around my apartment. And just because sometimes it'd be like Justin on a lavalier mic and I'm talking into the Zoom recorder, or sometimes I would be talking into like the hot shoe shotgun mic.
Yeah.
Like real janky.
Like we're doing whatever we could because that's all we had at the time.
Sure. And with the whole business aspect of, we had to we monetized with the Audi video, and we had to create a business to make that money go somewhere. And we're, some time passed, and I was like, well, what if we just made this a thing? And what else is missing with us being a business? So website, merch, podcast.
And fortunately, I had space in my unfinished basement that we just started formulating this idea of maybe we could actually have a space for the podcast. And so the first thing was okay, well, let's look for a table. And Gavin already had a computer we could use and some other things to kind of repurpose and reuse some stuff, which is kind of the cool idea. Ended up finding the table for free. It was the perfect size, and
it's like a burly table.
Oh no.
Burly.
This boy's thick.
Please let me describe how much of a pain in the ass it was to get this 200-pound table down my stairs.
Yes.
Either way, I already ruined.
Oh,
hang on, there's multiple of us that ruined it. Okay, there we go.
Hold on, I gotta silence my
I know,
watch.
everybody silence their stuff. Yeah, there's our amateur hour out of the way.
I mean, as long as we get it out of the way now, right?
Exactly. But either way, so we will now be coming back to you in podcast form in regularity. We've finished our concurrent uploads, all the old stuff.
So for those that are just now tuning in, we were previously with the first podcast, I guess you could call it, the first season of the podcast, was run through Shout Engine, and that was a website that a lot of other podcasts, automotive podcasts that I've come to know and love, have been hosted on there for years. Like the Smoking Tires started on Shout Engine, and Everyday Driver did.
Yep.
And we used them, and then we kind of stopped doing our thing because we got burnt out of it. And during this 2-year period of not really doing anything with the podcast, Shout Engine just went defunct.
We just got an email one day and also noticed the website was gone.
But we didn't even see the email until way too late.
It was basically, we're discontinuing services on January 1st. And you will need to email us before then or possibly after then. A big emphasis on possibly to see if we can redirect your feed.
We never heard back.
No, we did email, but nothing.
Yeah.
Absolute crickets.
Yeah. So we're now hosted on Anchor, which is powered by Spotify. We are currently on Spotify and Google Podcasts. Today, I think we should probably, one of the things that we can also do is try to see what needs to happen to get on Apple, because I feel like a lot of people would be on Apple Podcast.
Yeah, the old version is, I believe, still on Apple, just not this new stuff coming out.
So is, I think it's on Spotify too still. I think it just died on Google.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting getting content out to the world because each different type of content has a different way to do it. And
Sure.
Shout Engine was pretty straightforward and easy with it. I have no doubt Anchor will be. We just have to figure out the ropes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, and that brings you to current day where we are filling in the bubbles, I guess. Words is tough. Yeah, we're filling in the bubbles really, and kind of completing what we feel like, we are as an online brand for content creation. So we have a website, and actually yesterday, I was putting together a new page for us to post my photos if people want to buy prints. So if you see a car review and you're like, oh, that's a really pretty car, I'd like to hang that on my wall and in my garage or in my man cave or whatever, you will be able to do that very shortly. So.
No, it's kind of cool. When we end up doing these shoots, we work deals with the owner where it's not just we're taking their car. I offer a free detail, Gavin offers free photos, but the side benefit of that is that there's not just a video and a review and an experience that happens. At the same time, we also get those photos, and there's some pretty damn good ones, especially when we're getting rollers and stuff. There's some pretty cool action photos that happen.
Some of my favorites were actually, the narcissistic side of me really enjoys these. When you took the photos of me with the ERA Turbo.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just looking like a crazed madman.
No, it's really fun, the moments that you can capture on quote-unquote film. It's obviously SD cards these days, but capture in a
Speak
moment.
for yourself,
Unless
son.
you shoot on a 35mm camera like
Canon
someone
AE1,
here.
let's go, dude.
Okay, for those of us that aren't diehard camera enthuthose like you guys.
Gavin's a nerd.
Well, yeah, he does bring his Polaroid everywhere at this point.
Yeah.
But, those moments, being able to actually capture and frame those is a pretty cool thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not like I give a rain check of because often what you do with your details is you can either, I guess, detail it after the fact, or you just provide a rain check for either that car or whatever car that the owner has for later. For what my end of the deal is taking photos on location. So this is what was happening when we were filming your car, and so I think that's a really cool thing to kind of give back.
Yeah.
And soon, you, as in the rest of the people, will possibly, if you feel so inclined, be able to buy those photos.
Yeah, and on top of that, we also have our aforementioned merch, which has been selling decently. We generally went through a good amount of family and friends that have bought, and we haven't had a person that wasn't known to us buy yet, which is fine. The point of that is that it can sit there, and if any of you feel so inclined, we have stickers, hats, and shirts. I feel like they're fairly reasonably priced, having looked through other,
especially with the quality that they are, the hats and the shirts especially.
Look at this hat.
I know. So we kind of lucked out with mainly both the shirts and the stickers with the quality of them. We ended up stumbling onto some really good people through random circumstances that the shirts are what we wore the whole time on this last shoot. And to be honest, even though it was a black shirt, it was still hella breathable, and it
really
never
breathable.
Felt uncomfortable, which is rare. Usually,
I didn't wash mine for 4 days.
I know. Usually, average. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you have 4 16-hour days back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
But they continued to be breathable, and they didn't show sweat stains. They didn't, they honestly.
You're right.
I know. It's crazy. They really are damn good quality.
I didn't even stink that much.
This is a good preface for you guys. When we were shooting the last production, it was constantly being in the sun. I don't remember the temperatures. It wasn't as hot as this week.
It was about the mid to high 80s.
Yeah.
When we filmed the group shoot, it got into the 90s.
It probably touched 90s that day.
Yeah.
But most of our days being we're in the mountains were in the mid to high 80s.
Yeah. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to shoot at Mount Nebo, because it's that's a 9,000 foot mountain. That's going to be
a lot cooler up there. Yeah. It was hot though. We were covered in the sun, and that's pretty impressive that the shirts don't stain.
And typically when you're trying to cut costs, the first thing to go is material quality. And material quality, you can get it. An average quality shirt will fit just fine and whatnot, but it's usually the actual material itself, even though the cut's good.
Right.
That is the first thing to go. So the fact we were able to find for a decent price and within to make a few bucks on a shirt, get a quality that high.
Well, yeah, we don't want to get hosed by this. We want to, we want to take that money that we get from merch sales and turn it into money that we can use for the production. We're not just pocketing this shit.
No, the point of this is, as I've mentioned before on a couple different things, we want to monetize in different ways that doesn't feel like we're either A, shoving ads down anybody's throat, or B, not counting on Daddy Google paying us a fantastic amount, being that we don't play the algorithm game. And so, therefore, these are our ways. We have you know, prints, we have merch, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that being said,
welcome back.
And we're still continuing to just move this train forward.
Yeah, so welcome. Hope you tag along with us. If you are just finding this podcast now, if you want to connect with us, we are on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook doesn't really get a whole lot of attention. I think I kind of enjoy posting on Instagram more.
Yeah.
Like my own personal Facebook is whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as like our socials, like just look up Exhibition of Speed. And also if you Google the 4.2 Audi V8,
Guess
pop
what?
up.
It's one of the first things that pops up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe real quick, let's have Chen actually do a proper introduction for himself.
Yeah, who are you?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Hello, I'm Chen. I am the, as Justin said, third shooter on the crew. Should I kind of just go into my origin story?
Sure. I mean, like, wow. I didn't know that we were starting a superhero podcast. But yeah, just a little bit about yourself, what got you into cars and cameras, and what you currently drive.
Easy peasy. All right. Cars and cameras. I've been into cars ever since I can remember. Albeit Hot Wheels or, I think that's how it started.
Okay.
Like with many other kids. Hot Wheels. My uncle had a red NA1.
Oh,
Miata
hell yeah.
That I actually remember riding in. That's one of the very few memories I have of visiting him, so that's kind of cool. But I guess my interest it was there in like elementary school, and then I moved to LA and like right around middle school, high school, around that time.
Were you trying to make it big?
No, I was just trying to move closer to family.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we got closer to family, and I also, kind of just realized I moved to like the capital of car culture. Like,
yeah,
that is where people, especially when modifying cars, especially with the import scene, that is where people will try and do it right, like the first time.
Yeah.
Because you see some pretty amazing builds out there. So obviously that caught my attention. I tried to get out there more. It really started in high school, though. I had a friend on the robotics team, and
Nerd
alert.
Yeah, I had a friend on the robotics team. His name is Will. I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but shout out Will. He kind of got me into cameras, and he was like, "I shoot for the robotics team, and I also shoot like at car meets and stuff just for fun," because his older brother was into cars, so he kind of always tagged along. So then I tagged along with them, and sophomore year is when I went and saw my first Formula Drift race.
Damn.
And I remember it was the same weekend as homecoming, and I could care less. Every year.
That's how you know it's the proper car guy. Fuck homecoming, car meet. Yes. Or, Formula Drift.
Yeah. Every year, homecoming landed on the same weekend as Formula Drift when they came to Irwindale for their final fight round. So me and my buddy would always go. I remember his brother was a giant cheapskate and would bring ramen noodles, and we would go to the concession stand and ask for hot water.
That's like dedication to the craft.
I know,
there,
honestly.
Cheapskate.
But yeah, they were super fun events. They always had a really cool, at the time it was more of a grassroots feel. Not many people were going to them. I remember over the next 3 years is when the sport started to really take off. But they also had paddock car shows, so they had these really sick show cars, stance cars, all sorts of cool stuff would come out. But right after my first time going to Formula Drift, I was like, wow, I'm hooked. Like, I want to, I don't know, keep going to events like this, but also I want to take pictures. I think that'd be cool. So I bought a camera, and then it kind of just grew from there. And then I ended up coming out to Utah for school. I went to Weber State for a couple years, and I ended up just launching my photography business this year.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. After 2 years of kind of just bouncing around, shooting a bunch of cars, making a name for myself. Yeah, and here I am now. It's been kind of a wild journey. I never saw myself doing this, but
did you ever see yourself doing it in Utah?
Definitely not. You know what I first thought when I was moving to Utah? There's a lot of Mormons there.
Yep.
And that's about all I know about the state. And there's really good snow, and that was it.
And like that's a lot of people's, impression of like if you don't live here, if you're not from here, like
100%.
like, there's Mormons and there's snow. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of it.
Actually, and probably the last third thing would be like Red Rock, like people,
Maybe, yeah,
and national
Moab
parks.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are really the three things that people just stigmatize Utah with, understandably so. But it's it is funny.
Yeah, I mean, with Park City being an actual, it's not a mecca for people. I mean, it's becoming more of a thing. I mean, Park City has definitely changed over 20 years, for sure. But that's I mean, people's perspective of Utah is always interesting to hear of like people that aren't from here.
Oh, definitely. And like it obviously changed. That comes with living anywhere.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I just thought about this, but like I remember when I first moved to Utah, one event that like particularly stuck in my mind was wanting to go to Bonneville.
Sure.
To the Salt Flats. I still haven't done that.
I was about to ask if you've gone. You should go.
Yeah.
It's what as a car guy, I think we should all go at least once. It's hot. And, and the entire ground, all of the ground is one big bounce card.
Yeah,
so you're just gonna get roasted.
You better wear sunglasses and a lot of sunscreen.
Fuckload of sunscreen.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see and to see like twin V16 powered like nitro meth like crazy shit.
And even beyond that, if you can go in the good season outside of when Speed Week is happening, you can drive your own shit on there. Which is
I've done that before, but I've always wanted to go like when they're doing the official race.
It's a different vibe when Speed Week is happening.
Just because I want to see like all the crazy cars that go out there
and bikes and
And that's some crazy shit because those guys are all insane diehards. In fact, at a shop that I used to work at, there was another gentleman that worked there. That's a local racer. That with what's his name? I cannot remember his name. Just a moment. But they actually had one of the records for the category of 4-door, 4-cylinder, forced induction.
This is at Wofford's?
So the Potter brothers.
Okay, I don't know them.
Yeah, so they had it was at one point a Jetta.
It was.
And it still is in like basic chassis and body. But like with a heavy built 1.8 running on, meth, God knows what. I don't know.
Crazy boost.
I don't know all the details. I know it was north of some 1,000 horsepower.
Jesus.
It was, they had some crazy things done to that, but I know, that if I pull up right here, Potter Brothers Racing, which I believe.
We also have a TV.
True. I'm just not logged into my Facebook on there.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Potter Brothers Racing right here. Let me see if I can scroll down enough to get to their win because they did set the speed. Oh yeah, here you go. The team and I managed a top speed of 222.052 miles per hour. Yep. On Wednesday and a top speed of 207 on Thursday. The combined average being 214.5.
What year Jetta was it?
It's a B5 Jetta.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I said, I am very much... Oh, no, sorry, not Jetta. Passat. I was
going to say, that sounds like Mark IV era, but yeah.
Yeah. So I am very much not completely in tune with all of the specifics of the build or anything like that, or even the total horsepower output. However...
I mean, that's got to be... they're running crazy aero, like crazy, like slick aero.
Yep.
So it could still be a 3-digit horsepower number to go that fast, because I think... Volkswagen was running some Bonneville stuff out like a couple years ago. Like
they ran a Jetta.
They ran a Jetta as a factory team
Yeah.
that was making I think 600 horsepower and that did like 210 as an average.
Yeah.
So it could still be 4 digits, but like that's still like a lot. It's still a fast fucking car.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. But anyways, you get to see stuff like that where it's like technically the fastest of its kind, quote unquote, in the world.
Yeah.
There's the dudes that race the bikes, which those are probably some of the most insane people.
They really are.
Oh, I bet.
Because with those guys, anything that happens, it's insta death.
You're gone.
You're gone. There's almost no chance of surviving.
Falling off at 200 miles an hour on a bike.
Yeah, and then beyond that, you have Richard Losey.
Well, that wasn't at Bonneville though.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, that was they called it the Utah Fast Pass, I believe is what it was.
Gotcha.
That was kind of like the Sun Valley Tour de Force, where it's like they close off roads and like they, just go do
Let
crazy
people
shit.
go romp on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, do you know the story about Richard Losey and the Enzo?
Did he crash an Enzo?
Yeah.
Yes, very.
Oh.
So he's one of Ferrari's top clients. He's the guy that they call like, hey, we see you bought a LaFerrari. Would you also like an Aperto with that?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And so this is back in the day. This is like in, I don't know, 2006, probably 2007. I might get that part wrong, but he is participating in the Utah Fast Pass and crashed it over 200 miles an hour.
Oh, shit.
He was fine, and I don't think he didn't send it back to Ferrari. I think he sent it to somebody else, and had the car rebuilt, and he decided that the naturally aspirated V12 wasn't fast enough, so they added turbos.
Oh, you did tell me about this car.
Yeah, it makes like 1,400 or 1,200 horsepower, like some like crazy amount. Yeah, throw that up, Jamie.
Funny. To give you an example of like...
Yeah, look at that.
Oh.
Or maybe it was at Speed Week. No?
But yeah, to give you an example of like how crashed, it's crash.
It was mega
He
fucked.
survived that.
Yes,
Yeah.
he survived that, and
Mega fucked.
That's impressive.
So now that car is being run around by an individual that calls himself the not even a caretaker, he's the custodian of the Enzo.
Yep.
It's not Losi, it's another guy. And it is now the highest miles Enzo in the world. It's at like 90,000 miles on it.
Yep.
They drive from Salt Lake down to like Cedar City to get breakfast or get lunch.
Yeah, it's somewhere, I can't find it here, but somewhere there's actually a picture. The engine ended up, I think, almost 50 to 100 feet away. It was quite a ways away.
Oh, yeah.
Completely separated
Yeah,
from the
engine
car.
out.
Yeah, this was an engine out service.
Yes.
But yeah, that car was fully rebuilt.
There's the engine.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, yeah. Which one is it? Right.
Left.
Oh, right there. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. No, just
Wow.
completely ended up separated from the car. But yeah, that car effectively lived on. I would love to... I wish that, like, I mean, this was so early when this happened back in 2006 that,
Well,
like...
can you find, like, an actual story? Like, go back to the web results and see when it happened?
Yep.
Because this happened a while ago, but it might not be... I mean, the car came out, what, 2003, 4?
If I do Ferrari crash, let me just put crash, and then we'll get an actual
Sure.
article. Let's see.
That's in 2010. In the summer of 2006, yeah.
So this one right here.
Utah Fast Pass.
Yep. And then...
Well, open it up.
If you go down to August 2nd, 2006.
So this is him setting the records on the salt. This is the
After
Bonneville.
wrecking.
Yeah.
Well,
So
this article came out in 2010.
Yeah, so this is the 4-year rebuild process, and this is when he got back out and set the record at Bonneville with that car. I wish that
206 miles an hour is when he lost control.
Jesus Christ.
Imagine. Like, we've driven quickly.
Not that, though.
No.
That is when things, if you look directly at the window, are a blur, and things in front of you are
Mostly a blur.
tunneled.
Yes, you are in tunnel vision at that point.
Yeah.
But I wish that this would have happened later, because what would have been cool, let's say this happened in like 2015, 16. I think what would have happened at that point, being that this was in 2006 and so early on in the media game, like it would have been cool to see a video anthology of the rebuild process.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because like I
This
can only
would have been-
imagine
if it happened today, it would have been documented on YouTube.
exactly
Easily.
You know, very likely. But that would have been really cool to see, because like I can only imagine that there's probably some major structural components that got replaced, like, and just to see how much of the car is still original versus how much had to be redone at a 206 mile an hour crash.
I'm sure if we called the custodian, I'm sure he has some things to say about that.
I'm sure there's photos and shit like that, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to have seen that as like a video series. Just, hey, we fucked up this Enzo. Hey, watch us bring it back to life.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, you should definitely make the trek out there at some point.
Oh yeah.
It's worth it.
It's very worth it. It's a completely surreal and different experience to anything else.
You've been to Speed Week too?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, I've been there twice, once in high school and once after. We took a high school field trip.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's super fun.
Literally Speed Week happened like the first week of school, because it happens August, September-ish.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going out there with all the automotive class, bussing out there and spending the day.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, and that was, in fact, I don't even think that would be allowed anymore, because they, you know how shit is. They change rules and stuff, what's allowed. But either way, that was a really cool experience. And then I went a few years later as well. And then I've driven, fortunately, I went there on a week where, ironically, we were coming back from my friend's bachelor party.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to do top speed with the Stinger with 4 people in it on there, because it just happened to be the perfect season where the ground wasn't
It
wet.
wasn't mushy.
But it wasn't Speed Week. You guys were alone.
Well, yeah, we were lucky.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was probably either the week after or the week before Speed Week.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ground was good, and we were able to do things.
Yeah, you did 168 with 4 people.
I know. It took a minute longer than my run in Mexico that's on YouTube.
Yes.
But, no, it still did it. But getting to drive your own car there is a really cool experience, too.
Oh, yeah. I've driven the Jetta out there before. I think the fastest I got to was like 120.
See, I've been out there like a bunch for photo shoots and like media stuff, but I've never like tried to like top a car out or anything because I know that like depending on like which direction you go, you could it can go south really fucking easy.
Yep.
I was actually doing a video shoot for a detailing product company back in 2018.
Yeah.
And the director of the shoot, he had never been out there, and he's like, "Oh well, maybe if we drive closer to the mountains, we'll get less wind." And so he went out with the Jeep on 37s and still got stuck.
Yeah, and I think the only reason I was even as comfortable as I was is clearly there had been tests done, so there was tracks. So you could see where the lane was and shit.
Yeah.
Even then, full disclosure and disclaimer, if you do go out there, be careful because there's also, being it's a free-for-all, going to be other people doing the same thing, and it's very difficult to like
that
see
is,
a car come in the other direction.
It's like lawlessness because I've done a couple shoots out there too before, and it's crazy. Like if you go out during sunset,
it's
the
wild.
amount of people that are out there, there's just cars kind of just driving willy-nilly.
It's a cool vibe though, like the sun setting like behind those mountains that are over by Wendover. Like it's definitely a vibe and a half, but
you just got to maintain the vibe.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, pass the vibe check.
Well, cool. And
no cap.
To move back to your introduction, you're currently driving
I currently drive a 2003 Mazda Miata LS.
Nice.
On gold rims.
On gold wheels. Yes.
Yes.
Good job. Good
gold
correction.
15s. I'm not a poser. Previous owner had these black 17-inch wheels on it.
Yeah.
It looked like a monster truck, so I put some 15s on it and came with some meaty tires.
Small car needs small wheel.
Yeah.
Well, your tires were like 10 years old when you got the car, right?
Yeah.
It's not your fault. It's the previous owner's fault.
Yeah, you just inherited that problem.
Yeah, fix your tires, dude.
Which you did. No, that's cool. Like that's awesome. As we've mentioned before, I haven't had too much experience with Miatas, and so I think it's awesome that you daily drive one around here.
It is a fun little car. I love it.
It's a great car just to be in and just to be your own personal mobility pod.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. The radio stopped working. Well, not the radio. The amp died.
Okay.
All the speakers are wired into the amp, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So the amp died. The radio still works. My music just doesn't come out the speakers anymore. So that was an unfortunate issue that literally started on Friday.
Oh, fuck.
But
well, shit.
Guess I'll just have to replace an amp.
I guess I'll have to do an upgrade.
Yeah. Well, and you were debating on like keeping it for a little bit.
For a second there, because I thought I saw an option to possibly sell it, but I decided not to. So
Gotcha.
I am going to keep the car.
Okay.
I'm glad, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a clean car, and Miatas that clean are pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in this day and age, I mean, the NAs are more beat than MBs generally.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's because the NAs are the TikTok car.
Ouch. Shout that shit out.
On God, bro. For real.
If you have broken heart stickers on your car
or Suicide Boys lyrics in your captions,
just don't talk to me.
Oh man.
Anyways, well, we recently got done, somewhat recent for us at least.
Yeah.
With our next big boy shoot. What we like to do is kind of do 2 to 3 like big, really serious films a year, and I also want to throw some other smaller things in the middle just on my own, but we do 2 to 3 like big video shoots a year that kind of cost money and time and resources, but we just drove every generation of the Acura NSX,
and which is part of the reason why we were looking to get somebody like Chen to help us out, because that's a big task.
So it's been a couple weeks. How do we feel?
Oh boy. Well, obviously, a lot will be withheld for the actual video, which will be coming out in the coming weeks.
Sure.
However, and I addressed this even in my driving segment, being the fact that I am not traditionally a Japanese car guy, just by nature. It's just my preferences generally lean towards the pragmaticness of like Germans.
Well, not even just...
Wait. Oh, that's and the Swedes.
And the Swedes.
And the Swedes.
Well, European in general. And I mean, you say preference. I think it's just that you haven't had as much of an opportunity to, experience cars from other countries.
Yeah, and I've just been naturally gravitated towards European cars, generally speaking.
Right.
And being like the first car I actively purchased myself was a 5-cylinder turbo Audi, like that kind of was the drug that got me into all of it.
Sure.
And just carried on from there with Saabs and newer Audis, and even the Stinger being a Korean but German designed type of car.
It's really more German.
It really is. I didn't know what to expect. I hopped into it. Loved the seating position, loved the visibility.
You drove the first gen, the very first gen.
With manual steering.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the type of person that is very mechanically driven. That's what's led me to like drive semis and shit like that. Like I've always been somebody that enjoys operating mechanical things.
Right.
So to me, we generally, or at least I generally, try to save like piloting the car for the on-camera bit because I like to capture the first impressions. I did that with the Mini.
Mm-hmm.
There was even a couple of the Audis that happened somewhat. Where like even if I wasn't on film, I was trying to like save a driving segment so I could like feel what it's like and really have an initial opinion without having soiled that with like commuting.
Yeah, being in the moment.
Yeah.
And I was happy that happened because that meant I got to drive that car all the way from North Salt Lake down to Mount Nebo.
Yeah, you got a nice hour and a half commute.
Exactly. It was lovely.
The second I hopped into it, I actually ended up having to drive it for one quick segment before I hopped into it, and I don't remember what that was. There was something where we were moving them around. Oh, no.
Follow footage?
No, yes, it was. No, it wasn't.
Flybys.
It was the flybys because I was following the red car. So, but basically, fortunately, that was just all straight line. I didn't actually get to do any corners until effectively we were on camera.
Yeah.
And we had just done some mild corners with the two of us together in flyby, so I hadn't really given it the full beans yet.
Mm-hmm.
That car spoke to me in a way where I can very much see myself owning one, which is crazy. I could see myself trying to find a Ed Bullion type spec, like salvage title, high mileage, but very good driver.
Like a mechanically sound, but has all the other red flags.
Has a fantastically lengthy history.
Sure.
I could see myself owning one of those, throwing a set of snow tires on the rear, and actually dailying something like that.
Yeah.
That sounds nuts, I think, and I think even to me it would have sounded nuts prior to experiencing one.
Yeah.
But having experienced how well it does in practically every situation, the amount of trunk space that it has for a mid-engine car is astonishing. The amount of comfort, the seats are great, the visibility is great. It's a moderately sized car, but it's not outlandishly huge.
No.
It's no bigger or smaller than any modern midsize sedan. Really, I really could see that happening. Like literally, me getting that as a daily as I progressed to like wanting to have a separate car as a daily from my truck, which is currently like my combination daily and business vehicle.
Right.
I could see that, especially if you can find one. I mean, in this day and age when they've gone up so much, if you could find one again like Ed Bullion type spec that has a history.
The Ed Bullion spec
story.
The Ed Bullion spec cars, those used to be $15,000 back. Well, I guess there wouldn't have been any of them around because they were still too new.
Yeah.
Then that kind of appreciated to about $40,000.
Yep.
And now, like an Ed Bullion spec, probably between $50,000 and $60,000, because the one that we drove is probably worth $80,000 to $90,000.
Yeah, because it was a 33,000 mile.
37.
37, yeah. 37,000 mile NA1.
Yeah. With some things done to it. I mean, it had not a factory swap, but it was an Acura technician did a 6-speed swap
due to mechanical problems with the 5 speeds.
Well, we don't know that for real with that car. We don't know what the actual history was, but yes, those did experience some issues.
And so that, and it had a very mild exhaust, like still totally dailyable, not super loud, but good enough to give it some extra grunt.
When it opened up,
yeah,
you hear it for sure.
Yep, it definitely was out of the 3 first generation cars, it was definitely the one that had the best growl to it.
From the outside, yes. I would argue that the fixed headlight NA2 car sounded best inside.
Yeah, it had more induction.
Yeah. Well, because it was a factory car. The only real modification was tires and the Type S, period correct Type S sway bar in the rear.
Yep. But yeah, no, it really did swooned me over quite a bit. The first thing I said before I pulled out was like, this is probably going to ruin most everything else Japanese for me. And to be honest, once I drive more things, I have a fair bet that will probably play true.
I think if you hopped over to the other side of the car with some right-hand drive cars, that might. I don't even know if that would change necessarily, but you would have a different appreciation.
Yeah.
For both the NSX and whatever other car that would be. So I don't know, say like an R32 Skyline or something.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, pick your K car. Beat, Cappuccino, whatever.
Dude, I want to drive a Cappuccino so bad.
Me too. I've driven a Beat, but neither.
So I know of a gentleman who has a Cappuccino up in Ogden.
Oh, that was at the car show? It's like it had TEs on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The white TEs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the owner's super cool. That's a clean little car. He let me sit in it, actually, like the first time I met him at Roy Cars and Coffee. And I was comparing interior size from my Miata.
and
that car is a lot smaller.
No, really?
But yeah, to round it out, so that my experience with that car was extremely positive. And even with the other cars was also that way. The yellow car we had, as Gavin mentioned, is very cherry. Like, it may have had 2.5 times the miles of the black car.
It's the cleanest car
but
there,
it was
though.
by far the cleanest car there.
Yeah.
And
all
then,
that,
of course,
yeah.
the blue NC1.
We had an
Type
NC1
S.
Type S, which when we got it had 640 miles on it.
Yep, and when we returned it had just over 900.
It was like 950, I think.
Mm-hmm. Which is still crazy. Fortunately, the owner of that is a fantastic dude.
Oh my god! Thank you. Shout out Kyle.
He's an awesome dude.
God.
And he understood exactly what we were doing. Like, he was totally chill with it. We had discussions and told him, it'll be a few hundred miles,
Yeah.
And
I told him where we were going, and he has already been there before, so there wasn't even a question of like, why are they taking my car up like a skinny, narrow road or anything? Like, there's nothing like that. It was really a great experience. So thank you, Kyle, for letting us your potentially $400,000 car.
Yeah. No. And getting to experience that back to back with the other ones was just such this hilarious juxtaposition where you can see the lineage and where it came from and where it went.
You can see that, like, the similar factory boxes that were checked of like, okay, it needs to be quick, it needs to, have all the modern tech, it needs to be comfortable, it needs to be able to drive it year round.
They're kind of visionary. They're like, okay, what do we need to throw in here to, move the whole brand forward? And that was 100, like a lot of points of both. And
I draw a similar comparison of the NSX lineage and that jump to the 4GT.
Yeah.
Because where like the current 4GT, it doesn't have a mid-engine V8. It doesn't have a supercharged V8. A lot of people were disappointed when that happened, but
they brought it up to date.
And they wanted to check similar boxes of the GT40 when that was kind of coming out, and also wanting to take on Ferrari, which guess what? Acura was also doing in the 90s.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. What did you think, Chen? Being like a person not on camera but getting to experience the cars.
Yeah.
That's it was an incredible moment because you never see, especially like the fixed headlight cars, you never see those out.
No.
NA ones you see very rarely. Fixed headlights you never see, and then the NC1, the supercar, NSX you never see. I've seen once at sorry, I messed that up. I've seen one once at Farmington Station.
Okay.
And it was gray, and I was like, that was the first time I ever saw one, and that was the only one that I've ever seen in the state because it would park in the same area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was quite the experience. It's quite the experience to ride in them. A lot of people review those cars as like they're up there. They're the cream of the crop for a lot of people who enjoy import vehicles. So like getting to see all of them and like you mentioned how they progressed through time was super cool.
Well, with the early cars, there was a lot of like hair splitting of like, okay, so here's two first gens that actually look the same, but this one has like power steering and throttle by water, throttle by wire, and all that stuff.
And then also even you with being the social media dude, like ironically, my favorite reel that was done was the U-turn. Where we were going to our final filming location, and Chen was driving our camera support vehicle, the Sequoia, and he happened to catch. We have to to get to this particular location at Lux Auto, you have to do a U-turn
have to make a U-turn
after you get off the freeway.
And there's
to get
all
there.
the cars in line.
Just 1, 2, 3, and you panned it perfectly with the phone. Like, you did a damn good job.
Yeah.
Like that to me, especially with the family affairs playing in the background, was just this perfect moment. Like, you just do not see that.
No, that was a cool moment. Getting on the freeway was super cool.
Yeah.
Until you guys left me because I was in the Sequoia.
Well, I thought you were going to eventually catch us, but...
Yeah, because we were just cruising.
I do wish that we had an extra person that could be like driving, I don't know, one of the NSXs, and I could be in the Sequoia getting a roller shot, like 3 wide on the freeway.
Cars.
Yep.
Dude, that'd be so cool.
But no, I'm glad you were there and glad you had a good experience.
Oh yeah, I had a wonderful experience. It was super cool, and I can't wait to see the photos I got, dude.
Yes. Wait, so are they on this SD
They're
card?
on this SD
Oh,
card.
you haven't even seen them yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
I haven't even
crap.
had a chance to look.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then we come to Gavin, who had his own bit of a moment with these cars in possibly, almost a life rethink.
Well, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There have been a couple of cars that I've driven over the years that have made me rethink my life and think, like, fuck, I need to make more money. As stated in our Audi film, the first time it happened was with the 981 Generation Cayman S.
Yep.
With PDK. That was like, oh, cars are this good, and I could see myself actually in one. I thought I had a similar experience with the RS5. I think that car is still a bit big for me as far as like an engaging sports car. It's been 2 years, and yes, I think about that car fondly, and like the memories of it are all amazing. I don't necessarily see myself still wanting to get one. Dream cars for me, like the air-cooled 911s, are what got me into cars. My dad had a couple when I was a kid. One really sticking out being a 964 Carrera 4, and especially over the last few years and having driven other air-cooled cars, those are like, oh yeah, this is like who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. I really see my personality in those cars. And I started to see more of my personality in the NA2 fixed headlight NSX because just how well balanced it was. It was on 200 treadwear tires, which helps.
Yeah.
That does help a lot.
That car had, besides the NC one, that car had the best tires by far out of the other three.
Right. I mean, the induction noise, the quality of the shifter, the perfect pedal placement, the fact that it had E-Pass but still had communicative steering.
Oh yeah,
still blows my mind because you guys didn't drive Okay, sorry. Let me take a step back here. With the cars that we filmed on this NSX video, they were all different colors, and with them being all different generations, it was just easy for us to call them by their colors rather than NA1, NC1, NA2, whatever.
Yep.
So there was a black car that was a very early NA1. We had what was technically an NA2, but was still a pop-up headlight car, which is the red car. That car received electric power steering, a different diff.
3.2 engine.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a 3.2, which is hence NA2. That I don't know if it was the quality of the tires. I don't know if it had to do with just how that car has been maintained and like how the steering was. It felt really loose.
And it's even and part of that could even be it's an early Targa versus a later Targa.
I'm talking about steering though. Like
gotcha.
that wouldn't like affect the steering feel as much.
Yeah.
If it was a lot softer of a car, the NA the I guess you could call it a facelift NA2 or just the yellow car.
Yeah.
Being a 2003, that just checked so many boxes for me, and it made me rethink of like, do I want this over an air-cooled car? Because they are roughly the same price. The NSX is probably a little bit more than what I would be able to feasibly afford.
Yeah.
964s are, I mean, forget it. Even 3.2 Carreras are like in the 60s, 70s, which like they really ought to not be.
Yeah.
Like 15 years ago, those were absolutely a $30,000 car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my dad sold his 964 back in 2004. He sold that for $20,000. Yep. And that's what they were worth. Like, he wasn't under... it's not like he didn't know what he had. Like, that's just what they were charging.
And even adjusted for inflation, that would be like 32 or something like that. It wouldn't be 60.
It's a reasonable price.
Yeah,
exactly.
Those like $60,000, $70,000 cars at least. And I have to like give myself a think of like, okay, Porsche has been so much about my identity and, you know, being engaged and involved in cars, and not even just that, and not even just the appearance or the aesthetic of 911s, but like how they drive.
Yeah.
You know, the shifter placement and their feel, and having the engine actually at the back. And, you know, when you drive a 911, especially hard, yes, they've sold a lot of 911s, but to me, it feels like if you're driving one hard, it feels like you know a secret that not a lot of other people know. Like just the way to manage the weight back there.
Yeah, because it's inherently compromised, quote unquote, by the design.
Some people say that, and other people that go racing say that actually gives you an advantage because the weight is back there. You can brake later, and the weight when you're braking is more better distributed over the car.
Yeah, I'm saying like it's an inherently designed compromise to fit everything back there the way it is and have the weight behind the rear axle, but that's not to say it doesn't have its advantages.
Exactly. It does have advantages. And also, if you don't know how to drive one, it has
disadvantages.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the inputs of it are actually kind of based around a front-wheel drive car. Like if you are in a corner and if you start to like slide or something, and if you lift off, you're spinning. The same thing happens in a GTI is what happens in like a 996 911.
Lift off oversteer.
Lift off oversteer, power, like, you know, if you are losing the back end, you put your foot down to correct that, which is to a lot of people a very foreign feeling.
Counterintuitive. You think
your brain's telling you to hit the brakes.
Exactly. Your brain's telling you to hit the brakes or do some steering maneuver to completely correct it, and you have to do steering maneuvers
with throttle. Yeah. So that kind of recipe is what I really gravitate towards, which is what made the NSX experience for me like very conflicting. Of like, I also like I had like I was super into RC cars when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and my very first one was a black NA1.
Oh,
so like the first time driving Michael's car, like that was such a surreal experience.
Oh, I bet you were.
Yeah, exactly. And so, just driving the NSXs back to back. You know, we're not the first people to do generational films.
Yeah.
And sorry if I keep tripping over my words, but we're not the first people to do that. But to do a generational film that's so in depth about the NSX, I haven't seen anybody do pre-facelift NA1, post-facelift NA1, or pre-facelift NA2, post-facelift NA2, and then NC1, and with the NC1 being the Type S, the shit that just came out 6-7 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen anybody else do that. Which is why we got to get this video out.
Yeah.
Got to get it done.
It's pretty crazy. And
I saw Road and Track actually wrote an article about why the Acura NSX is like a good classic car buy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Explaining like the logic behind it. I didn't read the whole article because I was going to send it to you guys, and then my ADHD kicked in and I kind of forgot what I was doing.
I get that all the time.
But if you can find the article, you should pull it up because I feel like that'd be a fascinating
Can you
read.
Google that? I want to put this TV to use.
Okay, what was it?
Acura NSX. I think it was a Road and Track article. It was either that or Motor Trend.
Why it's a good collector car buy right now?
Yeah. Okay, maybe not.
So maybe not Road and Track.
It's probably Motor Trend then. That's not it. Oh, dude.
Well, we might have to find that later and we can read it up. But no, well, I agree. We're definitely not the first to do generational films and stuff. And I don't even think we really fully, in the initial planning, anticipated what exactly we'd be shooting for with like what we got. We ended up getting more than we thought we were going to because we found out this Type S existed and shot for it and almost didn't get it just because we didn't have contact.
Well, when we were planning when I was in my overcaffeinated planning stages of this film, I knew that the Type S existed. I just thought that we would have to get a regular ass NC1.
Yep.
And kind of have to deal with that. You should send that.
Let's see. Okay. Original NSX just keeps getting more and more appealing.
Think about that.
Okay. Let me just type that in.
Cadeps.
Is it?
Yeah, it was that one. It was written in April. It's still probably one of the more recent articles to come out about
that car
this
looks familiar.
I know. That's almost the exact spec of the red car we had.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that could be the red car, but it isn't.
But yeah, I mean, it's we didn't think we would necessarily have all of these cars. We wanted to, and initially
Motor Trend is claiming their $40,000 low point. That's actually not true.
Yeah,
they were at $25,000 for a minute there, back in like the mid to late 2000s.
They were pretty cheap.
That Car and Driver did like a top 10, like $25,000 and under, or no,
Sports
25,000
cars you should buy.
Well, and like they had like V12 Mercedes that like depreciated $100,000 over 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah, like there's the CL, I think, with the V12 CL 600.
Oh, yeah.
600.
Like that was in there. Boxers were in there. This was in there. Other stuff. I remember the physical article and like bringing that to school.
Nice.
So yeah.
No, but we, as we learned more about the NSX, we realized that we would want to get all three different, like smaller generations of the first gen, and then we, obviously shot for the Type S, got it, and so we ended up getting 4 different cars that are all NSXs, and even the 3 that are all original gen NSXs.
Right.
They're all fairly different, surprisingly.
Well, and they all drove shockingly different. I thought going into this, we would just get a pop-up car.
Yep.
A fixed headlight car and a hybrid.
Yep.
And hybrid. And I was flabbergasted with how different each car drove. It was so interesting to me.
And I know. Obviously, at this point, we can wonder how much of that is just maintenance, care, and modifications, and how much of that was the year-to-year changes they did. Because there's lists online on NSX Prime, mainly a good resource for NSX stuff.
That is the resource if you want to learn more about NSXs.
Yeah, where every year it notes, this list of stuff changed, even though like the car itself is the same. The climate controls in the 2003 are identical to the 92. None of that shit changed. It's all under the skin changes. Mm-hmm. So it does make you wonder how much of that was the changes going from 92 to 97 to 03 versus how much of it was the fact that the 92 was a 6-speed swap with an exhaust and the 97 had aftermarket suspension and wheels, and the 03 was almost completely stock.
And what I'd like to do going forward is probably try to find if there is a local car that is a 5-speed.
Yeah.
I want to see what that gearing is like. And if I find one, I will try to drive it and report back to you all on the podcast and see what that experience was like. Because, all of the non-hybrids were 6-speeds.
Yep.
Which, I mean, they were geared in such a weird way. First gear topped out at like 40.
Yep.
Second gear got you to
70. So one of them was 75. I think the yellow car like topped out at 75.
Yeah, and then even in that list there were gearing changes too. So like getting to just experience that and the 5-speed and 6-speed and all that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's probably about time to call it.
How long have we been recording
going for an hour?
Okay, cool. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't know how many view or listens that this is going to get, but that's fine.
We're not about the numbers here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're just here to have a good time. So,
exactly.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you are listening on a platform that allows you to rate, please go ahead and do so. Let us know how we did.
Yep.
Your boy's kind of tired today, so that's why I'm like tripping over words and stuff. But
it's July 4th weekend.
It is July 4th weekend. We didn't do a Track Daily Crush. We talked about doing a Track Daily Crush because we do releases on Mondays, and this Monday is the 4th. Do you want to do that or?
Yeah, we could do it real quick.
Track Daily Crush, Shelby GT350, C8 Z51 Corvette, and a Hellcat Red Eye.
Oh.
I guess I'll go first and try to formulate this as I go. My initial impression is going to be, I'm hoping not the same answer as everybody else. Track the GT350, daily the C8, crush the Hellcat. Okay. I don't have anything against Hellcats. I think they've kind of aged fairly well considering how long that platform of Challenger has been around. I think they've actually aged pretty well. And I think the supercharger noises and all that shit is really cool. I think that, they're insanely capable cars, more so than I think people think, especially if you go from Hellcat to Demon with the suspension and brakes and shit that were done with that. However, being what I like, GT350 on track, being how much speed can be carried, being it's not a super insanely powerful car, and the engine and just the general setup of that generation of car would lend itself very well to track. The C8 Corvette, I have not had the opportunity to pilot one yet. However, from good authority and multiple accounts, I have a feeling that would be a fantastic daily in a way, being how new it is, how much tech is in there, and the suspension and all that, and that it's a little less manual and hardcore than the GT350. I would rather keep that GT350 experience to the track because I feel like it would be far more rewarding doing that kind of work, whereas the C8 I don't imagine would be as rewarding doing that kind of work.
Okay.
And so really the only reason I'd crush the Hellcat is just because I couldn't see it, even though the Hellcat is a big car with tons of trunk space and shit like that, and that in theory would be good for a daily and arguably better in some ways than a C8. I could see the C8 being more of an interesting daily than the Hellcat in that aspect. And so it's really would only get crushed by nature of its competition.
Okay, so I have a rebuttal.
Okay.
I am, I'm tracking the Shelby.
Okay.
It is a more rewarding car and a more engaging car than the C8 is.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two of the cars sound amazing all the time. The C8 is kind of underwhelming as far as like a noise and like a sonorous experience.
Yeah.
Yes, the dual clutch in the C8 would be better for track use.
Okay.
I would rather keep the Shelby off the road. It's still a Mustang for me, still a larger car.
Yep.
And I never felt like I got that like engaged and like into like the pedal placement for heel toe and stuff.
Okay.
For street driving. So tracking the Shelby, I'm going to daily, and this is an oddball. I'm dailying the Demon because
or Hellcat or Demon. Are we just sticking with Hellcat, right?
Everyone
sorry,
cancel
Hellcat.
Gavin now.
Because I want to hear that supercharger pulley
Fair.
all the time.
That was a mild debate.
Yeah. And it's also going to be softer and more comfortable and just better just to like live with and be with all the time. Yes, it's the largest vehicle out of the three.
It's a big boat.
It is a big boat.
But like it's got a great ZF 8-speed auto, comfortable
Big fat seats too.
air conditioned seats, it has effortless torque all the time.
It's your living room in a car.
Yeah, and like that's just the place that I'd rather be in all the time.
Fair.
And I fucking hate that I have to crush the C8 because the ride quality on that it will shock you how comfortable it is.
Yeah.
The dual clutch in that is borderline on par with PDK.
Okay.
It's that level of good.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably better than the dual clutch that was in the NSX.
Okay.
It's snappy. It's also the lowest revving engine I think out of the three.
Yes.
It's like 6,500.
I think the Hellcat will still almost touch 7.
Yeah, and then the Mustang is 8,250.
Yep.
So, yeah, I liked being in the C8. It's kind of a cramped cockpit for one person, or for the driver at least. It's not cramped, but like there's just like this weird like wall of china that's like
the way they did our work actually just picked one up.
Sure.
The way they did it, like I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time in the driver's seat yet.
Yeah.
But the way they did the big swoopy line, and then
Got to talk to the mic.
So the way they did it is you have a big swoopy line that comes up from your arm.
Yep.
Kind of like the NSX, except instead of swooping all the way across the entire cockpit, it kind of comes across your dashboard and then straight down where your climate controls are.
Yeah.
And it gives the passenger really little space.
Yeah, I don't really fuck with it.
Yeah. It's an interesting design choice. It's definitely unique, but unique doesn't always mean better.
It's also a square steering wheel too.
It is.
Yes. The Squircle.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a square.
It's a Squircle.
Yeah. It's better than a yoke. There's definitely improvement over the yoke.
Yeah.
Stupid
Still.
Tesla.
Tesla and Lexus is doing one too now.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the end, folks.
No, but that's fair. I can see where you would choose, Hellcat over that. And
I like FCA the least out of the three brands.
Yes.
That was my mental argument. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought, because I had the same points you had about, it's big, it's got a lot of space, it makes a lot of noises a 12-year-old would like.
Yeah.
FCA still is just kind of poopy though.
They kind of suck ass.
Stellantis, not great.
Yeah. So what's your TDC then?
I have to let everyone down
Oh no.
Okay.
and agree with both of you. I'm going to track
which
the
one?
Shelby.
Wait.
Oh,
yeah.
track the Shelby. Gotcha.
Track the Shelby. I mean, it really is a trackable car that you also can drive every day. I know somebody that has driven one year round.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's even a photo that they posted of their car parked next to a Tesla that went off the road in the snow because Kelly put Blizzaks on his Shelby.
Nice.
Photos that go unnecessarily hard.
Exactly.
That's funny. And then my daily, I don't know. Because, yeah, I hate FCA, but I do like the Hellcat. I mean, I've driven its big brother, the TRX.
Okay.
I've had a lot of seat time and something like that. They're not really comparable. The TRX is like driving
No.
a house with a supercharger
It
on
really
it.
is.
Yeah, it's huge.
But the supercharger sound is nice. I haven't had a chance to drive a C8 at all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've just sat in it, so I've got an idea that it's kind of cramped, but I feel like you would get used to it after a while.
You would.
You would.
Of course.
And
But
good trunk space too.
But at the same time, if you're a bigger person than I am, and I'm like 5'7", maybe,
Yeah.
like you're gonna have a tough time in that car because it's
Yeah.
definitely small. So I don't know. Personally, because I haven't had experiences with the C8, I don't know how it drives or how it rides.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with the Hellcat, I think, as a daily.
Okay, and crush the C8.
Because I'm also 12-year-old
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah, like every on-ramp, every
He's
time
just-
you leave the light. Yeah, exactly.
Even if you're just doing quarter throttle, it's great. Just-
Yeah.
But okay.
Cool.
I think that's fair.
Well, that wraps up our first inaugural. This is kind of like the inaugural episode
Yeah, yeah.
of Expedition Speed Podcast 2.0 coming back. Like I said before, if your podcast platform allows a rating,
Please do.
please feel free to do so. Tell us you like us. Tell us you hate us.
Whatever.
Whatever. But it does help the metrics. And if you enjoyed this, also, share it. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we're not your boss.
No.
But absolutely smash that subscribe button.
On the YouTubes or on this for notifications and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell.
Ding.
But yeah, until next time, I've been Gavin,
I've been Justin.
I am Chen.
and this has been the Expedition Speed Podcast. Goodbye.